Hey friends, family, followers, and subscribers. I'm your fellow man of letters and Winchester brother Bradford Cheeble here to continue my series, my mini-series I should say, on one of my favorite characters of all time, Thor from the Wheel of Time. And so this will be part 2 of this mini-series. And in this video, I will be covering Rand's motivations for the choices he makes and the actions he takes throughout the Wheel of Time series, in addition to his major relationships that he forms over the course of the novels. And so that being said, let's dive in. First off, Rand's motivations are what you would expect out of a hero. He wants to be in control. He wants to be the star of the show. He just wants to be a human. And why I say he wants to be in control of his destiny and of his life is because he's had so many experiences where he's been the one not in control. One such example I have, and this is a major spoiler. So for those, again, if you haven't tuned in or read The Wheel of Time yet and you want to, turn away now. This is my final warning. I'm watching you guys. Rand is captured and shielded by some of the Aes Sedai still in the White Tower in Lord of Chaos, which is book 6. Rand is pretty much put in a box, whipped, tortured, kept from the One Power because he's feared by these female channelers. And after he breaks out of this box, he uses some of his reality warping powers to manipulate the Aes Sedai into serving him, and basically says, "You did not obey me. You did not listen to what I had to say. Otherwise, if you don't bow down to me, you will die." And basically Rand's motivation of not wanting to be controlled leads him to such a dark place where he shuns Nynaeve, Tam, Cadsuane, Min, Avienda, Elaine, his 3 lovers. His main reaction would be to push people away and would be to use the relationships that he has in order to accomplish his own means. Like I said in part 1, he forgets about the whole point of his destiny. And next, he wants to be seen as a hero. He wants to be seen as if he has it all together. And it goes back to one of the philosophies I was talking about in part 1, the God complex. Rand wants to be seen as perfect. He wants to be seen as the savior of the world. And again, part of that is because gods want to be in control in mythical situations. Gods want to be the ones ultimately revered, and if you don't revere them, you basically can burn in the pyres of witchcraft. No, they want to be seen as the ultimate reconcilers of pain and hate and chaos. Rand definitely struggles with those motivations. And you see that in books 6 through 12 as he starts to learn the politics of certain nations like Carian and Andor, Tyr, Ilion, and uses his relationships there to his own means. And that's really interesting because what he completely misses is that he's actually fighting for life itself while he's manipulating all these people to do his own bidding, as he's so obsessed with his image and with his portrayal of himself that he's actually missing everything that makes him human. He's missing love. He's missing laughter, joy, fellowship with other people, and all that makes this world beautiful. He wants also to save the world. He wants those relationships to be protected. He wants these nations to be protected. He wants nature to be protected. All of those things are such complex motivations. And again, going back to part 1 of this series, Robert Jordan really fleshes out how he goes about that, and how Rand has such a tight grip on what he wants that it just slowly causes him to descend into madness, with hearing voices in his head, and with lashing out with the one power, with warping reality to his bidding, and he misses the point. And as the series goes on, these motivations do change, and from the end of book 12 until the end of A Memory of Light, which is the final book, Rand finally realizes he needs to give up control in order to save the world. And because of all these motivations, they really affect the relationships he has. Some of the significant ones include Matrim Cawthon, Perrin Abara, Moiraine Damodred, the Aes Sedai who came to rescue him from Eamon's Field, Tamau Thor, his adopted father, Min. I don't exactly know Min's last name. Avienda of the AIEL. Forgot which clan, sept, so on and so forth that she's from. Elaine Trakand, daughter heir of the throne of Andor. Cadsuane Maladrin, the oldest living Aes Sedai at the time of the series. And one of my personal favorite relationships in fantasy, Moradin, or as he was known in his previous life, Ishamael, leader of the Forsaken. Some of these relationships kind of blend together. Mat and Perrin, for example, are Rand's two best friends at the start of the series because they grew up in the same village, they're around the same age, pretty much find out that they're marked for dead around the same time. And Rand definitely manipulates them probably the most, which is a terrible look for my guy, Rand al'Thor. But again, it just goes to show how much our motivations and our fears and our desires really do control us more often than they should. Another person who tries to control Rand and really plays a huge role in his overall arc is Moiraine. She's a fabulous character. I love her, I love her, I love her, I love her, I love her. Because she's kind of the inversion of the whole wise old teacher trope. Because you typically think of a man with a long beard who's revered, plays fireworks in backwater farm towns. Gandalf. She's instead a member of a magical organization that is feared throughout the world. And she's a woman. It's not something you would think of to have in a wise old teacher. Moiraine really teaches Rand about the necessities of political systems, about holding the one power, but also saving his friends, and the importance of telling the truth, and the importance of giving up control, and the importance of being advised. One of my favorite moments with Rand and Moiraine is in, I think it's Ruidion in the Fires of Heaven, book 5. And Rand basically tells her, if I trust you, you have to stop manipulating me and tell me the complete truth. And Moiraine, as an Aes Sedai, is known for manipulation. And she says, okay, I will stop manipulating you. And it's such a beautiful moment because you see, not only is Moiraine just like, she's revered, she's almost transcendentally above human existence, and yet she still has this very human moment. And it's also a cool moment for Rand because he's realizing he needs help. He's realizing he needs to be led and advised. And next we have Rand's 3 lovers, Elaine, Min, and Avienda. While he has his own special degree of spice with each one, out of all 3 of Rand's women that he has a special sort of spice with, I'd say he has the most with Min. 1, because he spends the most time with her, and 2,
because he is using her to have her predict prophecies for his ultimate outcome, in addition to those around him. Also, because of Rand's importance in the pattern, Min is drawn to him, which is interesting. It feels kind of strange because it feels like he's manipulating her while he's also in love with her, and it feels like she was just pulled to him because he's what's called ta'viren down here, or ta'viren, as Loyal will say.
However, he learns through these three women he needs to be open with the people who love him, and he needs to share his pain with those people that he loves. Next is Tam Thor, his adopted father. Oh man, I love Tam. He teaches Rand everything he knew about being an honest, humble man, and also about, on the negative side, I don't know what that was, on the negative side, about stoicism and steeling yourself so that no emotion passes your face, no emotion passes your lips, no emotion passes any facial expressions. But Tam also is known to be a warrior. He was a traveler, he was a philosopher, and Tam is such a good role model for Rand because he's kind, he's caring, he's compassionate, albeit quiet, but all of the former. And I love Tam and Rand's relationship, especially when Rand reconciles with him in Towers of Midnight on the steps of the Stone of Tyr. It's just a beautiful moment. Then you have Cadsuane Meladrin, who is kind of Rand's second Moiraine. She teaches Rand how to be more proper in the political systems after Moiraine seemingly dies, which she doesn't. And she is the oldest known Aes Sedai at the time and one of the most powerful. And so she really teaches Rand a lot about how to channel and make very complex weaves, even though she is a woman, because saidar and saidin are not the same thing. They're different manifestations of the one power, but cannot be held by the opposite sex. And so Cadsuane really helps advise Rand, advise Min, and advise Elaine. No, she doesn't advise Elaine. She advises Avienda about how to be proper. And she also holds the secret at the end of A Memory of Light when Rand switches bodies with Morden and walks off into the sunset. No one else knows except for Cadsuane, Elaine, Min, and Avienda. And lastly, one of my favorite relationships, probably in fiction, is Ishamael / Morden and his rivalry with Rand. Mostly because of their past lives. Luther and Telamon and Ishamael. I'm going to screw up Ishamael's full name if I say it, so I'm not going to say it. They were rivals. They were the most powerful channelers at the time, while Luther and Telamon was basically just this passionate, self-absorbed hero. Ishamael was a burdened, stoic, misunderstood anti-hero. And as he tells Rand in a dream in The Gathering Storm, over and over as the wheel turns, the Dark One will have ample opportunities to break the wheel. Ultimately, in the end, he will win. That's why I've joined him, because it will ultimately cause the world to end, and I will finally have rest. I will stop being reincarnated. Versus Rand starts to go down this path. He wants to be at peace. He wants to stop struggling with the weight of the world, but yet he doesn't know how to. And then once his epiphany on Dragonmount happens, he realizes, I need to fight for love. I need to fight for agency. I need to fight for my friends. I need to fight for those relationships, for all that's beautiful in the world. While Moradin is just wanting to go to rest and he's wanting to give up and just float in the ether for the rest of eternity. These two are foils for each other because Rand sees what he could have been if he chose to follow the Dark One, versus Moradin sees what he once was in Rand. And I think that's a really interesting dichotomy when you dive into it. And I kind of wish the two of them had gotten more screen time together, but it is what it is. So, all that being said, that was part 2 of my character examination on Rand al'Thor. Hope you enjoyed it. There's 1 or 2 more parts left, so stay tuned for those. Love you guys. Peace.